So one of the things that you guys pick up well in the book is that Arminius is a classical theist, in the sense where you guys talk about his doctrine of divine simplicity, and also he argues theologically in a scholastic fashion. So why is that important for understanding Arminius' thought?
Yeah, so as a so-called classical theist, you're right. He certainly emphasizes all those classical attributes that the Christian tradition predicated of God. So simplicity seems to be uh, foundationally important. Also, immutability and impassibility are non-negotiables for Arminius. Um, and so on all of those things, yeah, he's tracking right along with, the 1600 years of Christian thought on the doctrine of God that came before him. I think that's important, simply to show that he sees himself in continuity with the Christian tradition. He is not, and I would say almost all theologians at that time, he's not trying to say something novel. He's not trying to come up with novelties. The Reformed, of course, would say the same thing about their doctrine of God, but on these things, they would find agreement, at least on these attributes. In fact, Arminius, it was quite uncommon in the 16th and 17th century to use that word impassible to describe God. Immutable was kind of seen as taking that in, but he uses that word impassibility in his disputations on the doctrine of God, and as it says, sees this as a non-negotiable. So it's certainly not the God of open theism that we see with Arminius. As far as scholasticism, again, he's a child of his age. So what we have with scholasticism is not something that separates Arminians from Calvinists, from Roman Catholics, from, everyone who was doing theology in an academic context was using the scholastic method. And particularly Protestants who now are establishing their own universities and need professional training for their clergy. They're not, already we see it in Wittenberg under Luther. Protestant clergy are not going to Roman Catholic universities to train. So the Reformed need their own universities. That's what Leiden University is, and others like that. And they need to respond to the Roman Catholic attacks and polemic against them. And so they do this in a very academic way. And the best way to do that, since, at least the 11th century, is what we think of as scholastic method. So the method certainly does not determine the outcome of the theology or its content. It could influence it, but it's sort of like, you and I were talking earlier about analytic theology. It's just taking a theological question and parsing it out and defining it and describing it, appealing to authorities, including scripture especially, parsing out the causes, broadly understood in an Aristotelian way. That's scholastic method. You could be a supralapsarian and use scholastic method. You could be an Arminian and use the same method as well. It was the going thing of the day.